Welcome, everybody, to the Streakers Island Podcast, live edition. I am not nearly as angry as I was last night. Oh, boy, Chaz, you missed...
I could just imagine.
Never mind cranky Jakey. You missed furious, not curious Jacob Moore because blowing an 18-point lead. But I'm back in Argo Blue today because I'm calmer a little bit. I still have faith in my double blue. But we're not here to talk about the double blue here. Right now, it is the Calgary Stampeders versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers pregame show. And we have Mr. Lane Dashing Dashko and the one, the only, the man who has seen the biggest update since the iPhone 4, Mr. Chazzy 7.0. He's better than the iPhone 4.
What's so funny about last night was we're at recreational baseball. And then I saw Lane text in the group saying, well, that's basically over. And then get home, and it's like, oh, I guess what was he seeing? And then I looked like the Argos were in control in the first half. And then, yeah, just things turned
Chazzy, I'm not even lying. Like I was 25-7. I'm at my girlfriend's, so it takes me 20 minutes to get home. And I'm like, well, I got to get home for the post show. Because I have to walk around like the build. It's like a big building I got to walk around. So it takes me like 10 minutes to do that and like a 20-minute drive to Stony Creek. So I'm like, I better leave now because if I don't, I'm not going to make it up for the toe. So I was literally talking on my phone, like saying like, well, I guess we have nothing to talk about. Kid in my car come home. I walk in my door. I'm like, what?
So I will say to you boys and to any of our viewers, that's the Canadian Football League to a T. A game looks like it's done, and that, again, is a huge difference between 20-second play clock and three-down football. You can't just run the ball 3 yards, wait 40 seconds, and then run the ball 3 yards again. So you can't kill the clock. But today, I think we have another game that's going to be a very close game. The last time these two teams faced between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Calgary Stampeders, Calgary demolished them. I still think Calgary's going to win. However, I don't see Winnipeg getting demolished again.
No.
Against Calgary.
At home?
Not at home, especially. It's another sellout, so I believe that's I want to say their 10th straight sellout.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
Yeah, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have now became the most popular team in the Canadian Football League. That used to be the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I mean, they still get phenomenal crowds every night. But, I mean, let's be honest, though. When a team's been to 5 straight Grey Cups, you're going to get behind it.
Of course.
Right? And, I mean, Calgary is the flip side of how quickly things can change in the CFL. The Stampeders were terrible last year. You bring in a quarterback that knows how to throw the ball more than 15 yards, and all of a sudden you have the quarterback who's tied for the most explosive plays in the league. Well, funny enough, tied with Nick Arbuckle, which is very hard to believe, for most explosive plays over 25 yards. And
I thought you were going to say Bo Levi Mitchell for a minute.
No, you'd be surprised. It's not Bo Levi Mitchell's close. I believe he's second.
Okay.
But, I mean, you look, and I think this is a Calgary team that came off huge victories from beating Winnipeg and then beating Saskatchewan the week after. Winnipeg's coming off the bye. So they should be feeling good, but I don't know if you two boys know this or not. They're missing 2 very, very important players to their roster tonight, in Dalton Schoen and Stanley Bryant. Those are two. Stanley Bryant is arguably the best offensive lineman of the last 5 to 6 years. This guy is nominated for Offensive Lineman of the Year every year. He's phenomenal. He's a huge reason why Winnipeg is as dominant as they are, because I have said this time and time again. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers win games at the line. Their offensive line and their defensive line, that's how they win games. Yes, they have a lot of talented players. I'm not denying that. But the way they like to just run the ball with Brady Oliveira and take over a game to then create play action, without a good offensive line, you cannot succeed with that. So that's big. And losing Dalton Schoen is a big loss. Remember, they let Kenny Lawler walk because they felt Dalton Schoen was the new Kenny Lawler. And this is already his second injury this season. Let's be honest here. How do you think Winnipeg fans are feeling right now?
Maybe a little nervous, to be honest. Like, you called it. You said,
I was going to say that.
You called us at the beginning of the year that Zach Collaros might not be as good as everyone thinks he is. And I thought you were crazy when you said, I did. When you said, oh, Zach Clarence isn't that big of a boost. And I was like, oh, come on. This guy's been the fight. What do you mean? But I mean, lately, it seems like he hasn't been.
It's like when you look at Zach Claros' stats, funny enough, Nick Arbuckle was once again leading the CFL passing yards.
It's crazy.
Number 1 in 5. Anyways, passing yards don't mean everything, though. You got to look at quarterback efficiency as well, and he's actually lower than Trey Ford for quarterback efficiency. But you look at Claros in 3 games so far, 6 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 538 yards in 3 games played. Sorry, 801 yards. So he's averaging, decent numbers, but they're not jumping out of the wall going, you look at that, he's averaging over a turnover a game. And that is a huge problem. I mean, so is Vernon Adams Jr. with his 5 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. But the difference is with VA, he just seems to be able to make the big play when you desperately need it, right? Like when you desperately need a big play, Vernon Adams Jr. has been making it. This year for Winnipeg, it's been really hit and miss. And it's interesting, too, when you saw how well Chris Streveler played, going 21 for 31, 274, and a couple TDs so far this year, right? So it's that weird. There's obviously no quarterback controversy in Winnipeg. They're 3-1. They're fine. But let's say you lose today and Claros has another so-so game. Now, how are you looking, right? And I know at the beginning of the year, I think you two both thought I was nuts when I said I think Zach Claros is starting to get a little bit too old because everyone thinks that's Bo Levi Mitchell. Well, Bo Levi Mitchell currently is the best quarterback in the Canadian Football League, in my opinion. He's got the highest efficiency rating, only 1 interception to 11 TDs. Like, wait, you must be after a big and poop about that.
Really feels like he's turned back the clock.
He has. And Chazzy, I will say if you in Calgary, it took VA a couple games, but this is the VA that I expected.
My question for tonight will be, can Calgary control the trenches against this Winnipeg offense? And some are saying like they play that NFL smothering style on the defensive ball. And then also for those statistics out there, it does say Winnipeg's 8-0 on a bounce back against Calgary at home
crazy.
Since 2019, 12 and 5 overall. So yeah, it should be a good game, and hopefully we can squeeze one out for the Stampeders. But it's going to be tough. But like you said, Winnipeg's missing two Stallions, right? So
Jacob, you think it's going to be a run-heavy game for Mr. Brady Oliveira tonight?
I think, but that's going to be tough without Stanley Bryan in the mix. Right? You're taking out your best offensive lineman. And the weird thing was the last game, Calgary dominated the trenches versus Winnipeg. They outran them. They beat them at their own game, which if you look, VA only had to complete 13 passes to put this game out of reach last time these two teams played against each other, right? Versus Zach Claros went 34 for 48. But truthfully, I thought Claros had a rough game last time against Calgary. And with Zach Claros, he is a professional.
They're predicting him to bounce back. Yeah,
I'm expecting a bounce back game from him. I'm just not expecting Calgary to also just bend over. Like, I really think this is, like I've said, I think Calgary is the best team in the CFL right now. I think they're, like, at the end of the day, Winnipeg will be the benchmark in the West because they've been to the Grey Cup 5 straight years. It's kind of like even what Winton McMahon said after the Toronto loss last night, saying, look, every team wants to play harder against us because we won the Grey Cup last year and we won 2 and 3. He's right. When teams are known for being dominant, you could argue Toronto and Montreal have been the 2 most dominant teams in the East for the last 3 to 5 years. Where now you have in the West, it's been Winnipeg that's been the most dominant for 5 years. And now I think Calgary is really trying to flip that script. If Calgary wins this game, they win the season series, right? So that's huge. So that means if these two teams tie, Calgary would take first. This is a big game for that. I think this is a huge game for Winnipeg.
And Jacob, there's one thing that, going just to your, there's one thing to your comment that you were just, did you say something or?
No, I'm just being an idiot.
Oh, sorry. I thought you had to say. I thought I interrupted you. Sorry. There's just one thing that I was going to add on to your comment. A lot of people don't think about this, but all those extra games really add up, right? People don't think about how many times you've been to the Grey Cup. Look at like even the Florida Panthers. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of three-peats, and especially in these sports, because all these games, even if it's one game here, one game there, one game here, one game, you're going to the Grey Cup back to back. You're playing all these extra games, the injuries, the movement, players leaving the team. So that adds up, and maybe you're starting to see that with maybe Winnipeg a little bit for Zach Collaros, who's had all those extra playoff games, all that extra pressure. Maybe you're seeing it from the Argos because they went to back-to-back Grey Cups, and now they're starting to kind of feel the fatigue of those playoff style. You don't really, you get a shorter off season. There's a lot more movement. There's a lot of players trying to get an extra few dollars here because they got that Grey Cup. Once they get that chip, they can maybe get an extra few dollars somewhere else. So you might lose some players that, all that kind of thing. Maybe we're starting to see that shift here in the CFL where the teams who haven't really been succeeding lately in the Ticats and in the Stampeders, who are now kind of getting more room to grow here, while the teams that have been to the Grey Cup in those trenches, in those wars, are starting to kind of fatigue a little bit here.
I can see that, and you're also seeing like the teams like your Winnipegs and Torontos came into the season with injuries
because of that, right?
Playoff run. Speaking of teams that made playoff runs, Chazzy will love the news that we shared last night about Sean Lemon signing with the Montreal Alouettes.
Oh, is that where he signed?
Yeah, he went back to Montreal.
However,
he still got to finish off.
That's what you're saying.
He still has to be. He can't play for 2 more games because of the failed drug test. Which, speaking of that, Winnipeg fans are not very happy about that either because they're saying, well, Collaros was suspended for a phone call miss. But I'm like, well, so you don't know if Collaros would have failed that drug test or not because he didn't take it.
So what's the consensus right now since the signing from the fans?
It's very mixed. Very mixed. I'm seeing some people saying let him play. I'm seeing other people saying the league's a bleeping joke. And I've always said this. I'm curious if you guys agree with me or not on that. Then we'll get back to a bit more in this game. The CFL, in my opinion, is a better product on the field. The NFL is a better league. I think the product on the field in the CFL is more exciting. I'm not saying the talent's better, but the product on the field is more exciting. The NFL as a whole is a better structured league with more teams, more revenue, and they can do a lot more. And they seem to have these type of things under control a bit more often than the CFL. But then again, you also have the Chiefs blatantly throwing balls past the line of scrimmage, and they say, oh, it's fine.
So, I was going to say, well, depends how you look at it, because I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble here, but I just look at the Rashid Rice incident.
Do it.
I just look at the Rashid Rice incidents. I feel like they aren't taking, there's like the DeMar Hamlin, there's the DeMar Hamlin case, there's the Rashid Rice case. They're not doing enough to protect these players that they make silly decisions off the field that they're not realizing they're representing a team, and then they get brought back. And then I'm not going to get into instincts of what happened, but there is a lot of that in the NFL too. So even though the CFL might be getting a little bit of slack here for this, the NFL could be doing it just as bad. But they're on more of a global scale than the CFL. Obviously, the CFL is a Canadian game. It's more glorified here in Canada. The NFL does have a bigger market. They have bigger players.
I would never
bigger
deny
reach. I'm not denying.
A day of the week every
but
day.
I don't know if about the stereo the incidences if one are comparable.
You know what, Lane? You actually make a good point that I hadn't thought of. So good job. Take a bow.
But I'm here. I'm not just good looking. I am here because I have good sports takes.
But I will argue with people to the moon and back that I feel the CFL is a more exciting game to watch because we saw, again, as much as I wish it didn't happen, what happened last night in Toronto would never happen in the NFL because the way it's structured and you think about it, even a 4 and out, you can take like almost 2 minutes off the clock on a 4 and out in the NFL still. In the CFL, you're taking off you're barely taking off a minute because of the 3 and outs, right? So it's a different situation. It's just, I don't know, it's just the way the leagues are structured. But getting back to this game today, the reason why this game is so important is these teams face each other 3 times in total, with Calgary winning the first one. If Winnipeg does not win this, they cannot win the tiebreaker if these 2 teams are tied going to the end of the year, which I could see Winnipeg and Calgary fighting for the top of the West. I could see Saskatchewan too. Truthfully, I think the West is very, very dominant this year. However, I am very curious to see how Saskatchewan responds from their struggles of late.
If the Blue Bombers fail to win this game, where are you going to rank them? Are you concerned?
I would be concerned, yes, because you have BC that's really found their stride. You have Saskatchewan Saskatchewan is such a wild card for me because, let's be honest, the last game against Calgary for them was bad. It was bad. Bad of a capital B. And I look at what they've done in the past few years. Saskatchewan always falls apart after about the 1/3 mark. We're at around that point now. And now it's always been due to injuries. So if Trevor Harris stays healthy, I do feel they have a better backup this year in a veteran guy like Jake Mayer versus when they had Shea Patterson. So I would be Winnipeg. I don't see a scenario where Winnipeg doesn't make the playoffs, but I do see a scenario where Winnipeg doesn't win the West if they lose tonight, 100%. Because I'd really, again, the only concern for Calgary would be if Vernon Adams Jr. doesn't stay healthy throughout the year. Because if he doesn't, this team, I think, would all of a sudden really struggle. Like, I don't know if you boys agree with me. Yeah, Dedrick Mills is a great running back, but I mean, they had Mills last year, right? The big change this year was bringing in Vernon Adams Jr. They went out and got the best quarterback on the market. I would say right now the second best quarterback in the Canadian Football League. And it made a huge difference to this offense. This offense last year was terrible, ranked dead last in pretty much every category. And now this year they're mid-pack to top in most statistics. So, but you know what opinion we need to get from? The man who likes to hold his mic that I keep telling him not to. I see him putting it down. Mr. More for your money.
There he is.
Dan, you need to turn your microphone on to hear you.
What up, everybody?
Lane is very thankful he didn't scream because I can see Lane whenever Dan comes on, he's like,
I'm like, ah!
But no, this is a huge, huge, huge game. So I want to ask you guys, where do you think this game will be won or lost for either team? Do you see this being a run-heavy game? Is it a pass-heavy game? Is this going to be a defensive chess match? What is it?
I kind of think with the two running backs with Mills and Oliveira, it's going to be a heavy running game.
Yeah.
I'm just checking the weather because I'm the meteorologist here.
I think the quarterbacks kind of cancel each other out.
Wow. I disagree with you wholeheartedly.
I think
you
Mills
tell me
is
that
very
Zach Wells
underrated.
is as good as Vernon Adams Jr.? Yeah, and Max Domi's as good as Sidney Crosby by that logic.
Well, Dan didn't think that 4 guys could get 100 points. 5 players couldn't get 100 points.
Not those 4 guys. Like, come on, they got I have more Toronto side to Montreal. Couldn't even crack the Montreal lineup. And Toronto's lineup better than Montreal. So how is he going to get points in the press box?
I don't know if Toronto's lineup is that
Tie
much
it down
better
to
than
3
Montreal.
guys. Roy's best year is 41 points.
So 40's
Don't
right
expect
there.
him to get more than 45 at the most. This useless player, I can't figure out why we got from Phoenix, has had 30 points the most in his career.
No,
so
he
we're
had
70.
1 year.
And then
No.
Josh,
No, he had 50. He had over 50 1 year.
I think you're wrong.
No,
I know
well,
I'm right.
Okay, I'll
I think
check.
you're wrong.
Just to say for you boys here, 20-kilometer winds, 22 degrees, only 53% humidity,
Ooh, it's gonna be a bad kicking
with the
game.
wind at 24 kilometers. So
Kicking may not be your option tonight.
if a team wants to air the ball, the weather shouldn't be affecting it. There's no humidity warning. I'm not seeing anything about bad air quality, which thank goodness. After we saw what happened last week in Calgary, which the CFL is saying they're going to relook over their protocols for that. I'm not sure what else they could really do besides just cancel the game sooner.
Sure.
Yeah,
Trevor
that's what I
Harris,
say. That's the
Trevor Harris will be yelling on X. He'll be like, "The weather! You're not even in the game. Relax."
It is interesting, guys like Trevor Harris and McLeod Bethel-Thompson, 2 veterans who are the type that are weirdly enough making more excuses for themselves than other guys are.
Yeah,
But no, this game, I'm going to say with Dan, you think the quarterbacks cancel each other out. I think it's more going to be which team can create the most turnovers.
You know?
Because I would say Winnipeg has to create turnovers to win this game. I think Calgary can lose the turnover battle and actually find a way if they don't lose the turnover battle like 4-1 or something. But for Winnipeg, if they lose the turnover battle, they have no chance in this game to win if they lose the turnover battle, in my opinion, because I just feel Calgary is the better team right now. And for a good team to beat a better team, you need something to turn the tide, right? You need a playmaker to step up. And with guys like Stanley Bryant and Dalton Schoen injured tonight, you're going to need your defense to step up. I'm looking for Alexander Holm to make a big play. He's the guy that seems to be, I would kind of compare him to sort of what Sluka is in Toronto. He's sneaky fast, can catch up the balls really well. Another really good DB there in Peters, who I could see, maybe getting a turnover. And I'm looking for Willie Jefferson to step up because I think he's had a bit of a quiet year so far, which, funny enough, he started the year quiet last year for Winnipeg. Now, Winnipeg has started off much better this year than last year. They were 2-6 to start the year last year and still won the West. But I really do feel this is a game that for Calgary needs to be won by for Winnipeg needs to be won by defense. I think the defense has to be what kind of takes over this game for Calgary. For Winnipeg. I will learn how to speak before the War of 1812.
I'm going to counter that with I just feel Winnipeg's going to, like Morforth said, control the ground and see if they can win those trench battles against Calgary, which has been, like we said, dominant on that defensive side of ball.
But do you think they can do that without one of the best offensive linemen in the game?
That's the big question mark.
That is the big question here, because funny enough, if we look at the rushing statistics this year, Brady Oliveira is actually not really. I know he's been injured, but Brady Oliveira is not putting up crazy numbers.
Give it time.
Like 2 games, 110 yards. He is averaging 7.3 yards a carry. But you're comparing that to James Butler, who in 6 games has 474 yards and 3 touchdowns, 9 rushes for over 10 yards, 3 for over 20, or Dedrick Mills with 396, 5.1 per carry, 12 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 12 runs for over 10 yards. Those over 10-yard runs are huge for an offense.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
And right now, Winnipeg is not running the ball well as a team, which is honestly bizarre. I don't remember Winnipeg in this era not being able to run the ball.
Well, I still think you gotta give it time, right? You look, your key stat you missed out on Buckler was his average yards per carry, and even Mills' average yards per carry is good, but it's still over 2 yards less than Oliveira. So yeah, the grand total yards are a lot less because he's been injured. But that 7 yards average is massive. That's a difference between getting a down and not, those 2 yards, right? That's the difference between getting your short quarterback sneak team out there. That's the difference between mixing 3rd down and moving on to 2nd down. So that stat you overlooked is probably the most important stat.
I don't know about most important stat, but because, we haven't seen enough of Brady Oliveira running the ball for those stats to actually be accurate. And stats can be misleading too.
Oh, for sure.
Like these are weird when you look at it. Nick Arbuckle after last night's game is leading the league in passing yards. He's 2nd in passing touchdowns. Yet he's on a team that's 1-5 of one of the lowest quarterback efficiency ratings in the entire league. Right? So it's one of those things that stats can be misleading. And I agree with you, Dan. Brady Oliveira could wake up in this game and really take over. But even if you add Brady Oliveira's running total, which is 110, on top of Matthew Peterson, which is 245, you're still looking at 250. We're still looking at 355 yards, which would still put them in. Which would, Dan, you're saying, wow, that's 4th.
No, I said it's not great. I didn't say wow. I said
that's 4th in the CFL behind just one running backs group when you're looking at AJ Ouellette with 356, Dedrick Mills of 396, and James Butler with 474.
Wow, yeah, Buckler's.
And we're looking at rushing touchdowns. They only have, I believe, 1 rushing touchdown from a running back this year, which wasn't even Oliveira.
Oh yeah, we definitely have to improve. But the way I look at it,
Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
The way I look at it, since I kind of saw I was late, everyone, I do think Calgary's going to win the game. I did challenge Chazzy to a streaker's rivalry, making him pick Winnipeg, since I do think Calgary's going to win it. But after Winnipeg got embarrassed in the Stampede Bowl, I don't think this is going to be an easy win to Calgary. I think this is going to go right down to the last play. And, Calgary's going to get pushed very hard. And this is a game I think is going to be a turning point for Calgary, because Calgary's been really dominant all year. I think it's going to be their first very big test to see, okay, are they
your first big test? And Calgary's schedule has not been easy on this run.
No, I get that. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying this will, after they embarrassed Winnipeg, now they're in Winnipeg. This is the big game that's going to see, okay, this was the best team in the league.
I mean, the Stamps have actually so far on this is their toughest patch in the schedule, I think, because they played Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. Now playing Winnipeg again. Then they play Montreal. Then they had an easier game against Calgary. Then they're back to Winnipeg. Then they're back to Saskatchewan. So you look at this stretch. If Calgary can go, including the last two games, that's 2, 4, 5, 6. Let's say they win 4 out of these 6 down this stretch, they probably win the division.
Oh, I would think so.
Like, I think Calgary right now is in the driver's seat to win the division.
Yeah,
because they're beating the teams that they need to beat. But we're gonna have to go shortly because we're getting very, very close to kickoff. So before we go, let's go around the squares and say our picks. I will go first. And I am saying the Calgary Stampeders are going to take a stranglehold over Winnipeg for the race to first and win this game. And a tight game. It's going to be a tight game. But I think Winnipeg, of losing Dalton Schoen and Stanley Bryan, it could be a struggle for them on offense. Lane, who are you taking?
I'm going to take big play VA, baby. I think Calgary's going to win this game. I just think Vernon Adams been on a tear lately. I don't think anyone's stopping him tonight.
Mr. Chazzy.
Open the gates for the Stampede.
Mr. Moore, are you sticking with the three of us, or are you taking the Blue Bombers?
It's quest time for VA.
So does that mean he's getting crushed or he's crushing?
He's questing, bro.
That was terrible. Terrible analogy. And he's the one who even ate a sandwich before. I didn't even eat my dinner yet. He should be juiced and ready to go. Not juiced. He does not take steroids.
Yeah, I have way too much flop with steroids. I mean, if Chassie took steroids, I would answer a lot of life's questions. But I am way too floppy with steroids. Look, I do got some decent muscles here, right? Like that's pretty good for a cripple. But down here, I got nothing.
Anyways, on that bombshell, as Jeremy Clarkson would like to say, we're gonna take off,
control my offensive line,
and watch this thriller of a game. I will be back for a post-game show. I'm not sure who's joining me yet because I haven't asked the boys yet.
I'll be here.
Okay, Dan will be here with bells on.
I'm not leaving.
Lane will probably still be on StreamYard.
That's true. I'll be in the way. I'll be in the... I don't
know
how to
thank you very much, everyone, for watching the pregame show. Remember, this show lives on our Facebook and YouTube channel, so if you missed it, you want to come back and check some of it out, make sure you do.
Muscles.
We will be back for the post-game show. If you want to see Dan's muscles, actually, if you want to see his feet, just go to danfeet.net. Website does not exist. Don't actually go there. That would be terrifying. Thank you very much for watching tonight, boys and girls. We'll see you in the post-game show.
Bye.
Seriously, don't look.